At the beginning of the story, we see a powerful man named Finist and his disciple Andy. At this moment, they are going into the forest to capture a very large wild boar that was destroying people's crops. The villagers were very troubled by it. Even in front of this dangerous animal, Finist was not afraid. He told Andy that everyone considers him a hero. If he couldn't control this boar, what respect would he have left? He picked up his weapon and attacked the boar. But these small attacks had no effect on the boar. To assist, Andy also launched an attack on the boar using his weapon, but unfortunately his weapon ended up going into the boar's nostril, startling it awake. Now the boar was enraged and charged aggressively towards Andy, but then Finist bravely stepped in front of it. He exerted his utmost effort to halt it, but he couldn't restrain the immensely powerful creature. With just a slight exertion, the boar hurled Finist into the air, and he eventually descended back down on top of the boar. In an attempt to gain control over the boar, Andy tossed a rope towards Finist. As soon as he seized the rope and the boar began soaring through the air, Finist securely fastened the rope around the boar's wings and horns, bringing it under his command, and he commenced flying it as he desired. Before long, he navigated it to the village. When the villagers observed that Finist was directing such a massive creature with his gestures, they all erupted in cheers for him. Among them was a sorceress named Baba Yaga. She remarked to Finist, "If you genuinely possess this power, then demonstrate it." In front of his house, a big stone was blocking the water, so he challenged Finist to move the stone from there. Finist said that he has faced many big challenges, and the sorceress gave him this small challenge. He started telling stories of his bravery. Yaka said that she won't believe it until she sees it with her own eyes. Hearing this, everyone started laughing. Finist went home angrily. He was very upset because instead of praising his bravery, people were now making fun of him. He was determined to demonstrate his strength to everyone so that people would once again praise him. Auntie suggested that there exists a way to achieve this. There is a tower where it is believed that a fearsome monster has imprisoned an extraordinarily beautiful girl, and she is indeed a princess. If you manage to defeat that monster and liberate the princess, your name will resonate throughout the world. Finist resolved that he would certainly confront and battle this formidable monster. As night fell, Finist and End set out towards the tower. Upon reaching there, he saw that some warriors had already come to defeat the monster, but they weren't there to become famous. They wanted to rescue the princess and marry her. They all asked Finist if they managed to defeat the monster together, who would get the princess. To this, he replied that he didn't want the princess, he was just there to make a name for himself. Separately, Finist told Andy that he wanted to kill the monster alone so he wouldn't wait for the morning. Saying this, he went inside the tower through the window. As soon as he arrived, Finist met the beautiful princess. She asked Finist if he had come to die too. Finist replied that he had come to save her. The young girl hurriedly ran inside. In an attempt to stop her, Finist firmly grasped her hand. The princess quickly freed her hand and swiftly went behind a nearby pillar. At that very moment, a snake suddenly attacked Finist from behind. Finist began to engage in combat with the snake and soon came to the realization that it wasn't just an ordinary snake, but rather the tail of the formidable monster he had come to confront. Witnessing this, he launched numerous attacks on the monster. But when none of them proved effective, Finist resolutely grabbed the monster's tail, which was actually the snake's mouth, in his hand. He grabbed it and with all his strength tried to tear the snake's mouth open. But as soon as Finist opened its mouth with his hands, the snake spat in Finist's eyes, and now Finist could no longer see. He was blinded. Even after becoming blind, Finist did not give up and felt around with his foot to find his weapon. He launched an assault on the formidable monster, but it vanished. Finist continued his relentless attack to the extent that the entire tower commenced to crumble. The loud noise of the collapsing structure awakened all the warriors. They all rushed to the debris cascading from the tower. The warriors were unable to see the princess or the monster, only Finist, who was trapped beneath the rubble, gradually rising. When Andy discovered that Finist had lost his vision, so he took him from there and dropped him home. Finist was very angry after losing his eyes. He became very irritable. Andy couldn't bear to see him in this condition. Andy went to Baba Yaga for help. He told Baba Yaga everything that had happened to Finist, but Baba Yaga refused to help because when she was in trouble, Finist had not helped her either. When Finist found out about this, he became very sad. Time passed in this way. Now Andy also stopped coming to Finist. He was able to do all his work with great difficulty. He would go out and buy food and drink, but children would steal his fruits. Now his money was about to run out. One day, Andy came to Finist's house, and in anger, Finist told Andy that he had no work for him and that he should find something else to do. Hearing this, Andy left. As time passed, Finist ran out of all his money. The day came when Finist started eating all the rotten fruits from the market. One day, when he couldn't even find any spoiled fruit, he was seated in the bustling market with his basket. As Baba Yaga was passing by, she noticed Finist and placed some food from her own basket into his. Before they had the opportunity to converse, a group of robbers suddenly attacked the village. The bandits commenced the brutal act of killing the villagers. Finist was unable to see, yet he could distinctly hear the agonizing cries and suffering of people as they were dying. As the bandits approached him, he retaliated using the sounds as his guide. Despite his inability to see, he was engaging in combat with 2 or 3 bandits simultaneously, solely relying on the auditory cues. Another bandit hurled a rope at Finist, but he managed to catch it, yanked the bandit off his horse, and subsequently dragged him closer to deliver a thorough beating. However, he was attacked from behind and he passed out right there. When he regained consciousness, he found himself on a ship. His neck and hands were tied to a wooden plank. Baba Yaga and many villagers were also on this ship. Then we saw that Andy was also there. He was freely roaming around the ship. Baba Yaga asked how he was roaming freely, to which he replied that he had convinced the bandits that he was on their side and would help them. He would also keep an eye on the villagers for the bandits. At that moment, Andy had a It was a lamp that he had stolen from the bandits. He said he would sell this lamp and make a lot of money. As soon as Andy rubbed the lamp to clean it, a genie came out of it and everyone was startled to see it. Even Andy was surprised, and hearing the commotion below, a bandit came there, but the genie killed the bandit and threw him upwards. When the genie approached Andy to ask for his wish, Andy said to go back into the lamp, and the genie went back into the lamp. Then a bandit came up and held a sword to Andy's throat. He retrieved his lamp from him, and in a relatively brief period, the ship arrived in Arabia. All the individuals brought from the village were assembled in a line to be sold as slaves. A masked individual appeared and bought Baba Yaga and Andy. He escorted them to his grand palace. Upon their arrival, everyone was amazed to witness such an enormous palace. Robots were operating within this palace, despite it being a very ancient era. The man then took off his mask and said, "Do not be astonished. I am a scientist and..." He had created all the robots himself. This man explained that he had also invented many other machines to make human tasks easier. Finist recounted to this man his tale about how he was once an extraordinarily powerful warrior and how his life turned into a living hell after he lost his sight. The scientist mentioned that he had heard stories about him and Baba Yaga. This man purchases slaves and liberates them. When it was time for the meal, the scientist had his robots serve the food. Everyone was thoroughly impressed by this sight. They initially thought it was some form of magic. However, the scientist clarified that it was not magic whatsoever. He had been developing these for the past 500 years. Upon hearing this she was surprised and asked how he could be so young for 500 years. To this, the scientist replied that he had developed a chemical that, when consumed, allows people to remain young forever. He then escorted them to demonstrate his laboratory. Upon arriving there, Finist inquired about how he formulated this chemical and whether consuming it could potentially restore his vision. The scientist replied that it wouldn't be feasible, but he had an alternative solution. He provided Finist with a pair of spectacles which enabled him to see everything once more. The scientist was convinced that with the assistance of science, any miracle could be accomplished, and those who employ magic cause harm to the world. To eradicate these detrimental elements, he constructed an intricate machine. To substantiate his claim, he retrieved the lamp he had acquired from the robbers. Yaka expressed concern that it might be perilous, but the scientist persisted. He rubbed the lamp and a genie materialized from it. He then activated his machine, which absorbed the genie entirely. Subsequently, he declared, "Observe, my invention has effectively eliminated the genie." That very night, the scientist discovered that there was a monstrous creature on a nearby hill, causing harm to ordinary people. The scientist asserted that it must be captured. When this When Finist discovered that the creature possessed a lion-like visage and a serpent-like tail, he instantly recognized it as the very same monster that had rendered him blind. Finist informed the scientist of his desire to accompany him as well. He sought to exact revenge on that creature, but the scientist was reluctant to endanger his life. In response, Finist stated that since you aided me, I shall assist you as well. Subsequently, the scientist provided Finist with a device which, when positioned in proximity to the monster, would autonomously capture it. Night. Baba Yaga made her way into the scientist's laboratory. She had the intention of consuming the chemicals stored there to maintain eternal youthfulness, but the scientist intercepted her and mentioned that if they were successful in capturing the monster, he would grant her a small quantity of the chemical. The following day, when everyone was prepared to depart, the scientist revealed his spaceship, which would enable them to arrive at their destination with great speed. He instructed them on how to operate it. Prior to their departure, the scientist emphasized that he desired the monster to be captured alive. Professor Snape had additionally upgraded Finist's weapon. Now it possessed a button that, when activated, could perform tasks that a regular weapon was incapable of doing previously. They subsequently boarded the flying saucer and commenced their expedition, soon arriving at the mountain where the creature resided. After searching for a considerable amount of time, Finist ultimately discovered the monster's footprints. The footprints were leading into a cavern. Finist positioned the scientist's device outside this cavern. Finist understood that he didn't need to eliminate the monster. He needed to successfully capture the creature, so he calmly ventured inside and confronted the monster using his upgraded weapon, then returned outside. As soon as he emerged, his head collided with a tree, causing him to lose consciousness right there. The monster also emerged from the cave. Before the creature could inflict any harm upon him, Baba Yaga swiftly activated the machine. Numerous chains emerged from within the machine and dragged the creature inside. Subsequently, Yaga activated the lever once more, causing the machine to power down. After a short period, Finist regained his consciousness and they all commenced their journey back together. The expedition was quite lengthy, so they opted to rest halfway through the night. During the nighttime, Finist perceived a girl's voice emanating from the cage. He proceeded to unlock the cage. Baba Yaga attempted to prevent him, but he disregarded her warnings. Upon opening the cage, he discovered the same princess he had encountered in the tower. Baba Yaga remarked that this indicated the princess was in fact the monster. Yaga warned that setting her free could be extremely perilous, yet Finist was unwilling to heed their advice because he had developed feelings for the princess. As Finist extended his hand towards the princess, Baba Yaga forcefully pushed him aside and swiftly shut the cage. The princess explained that she refrained from holding his hand because she was afflicted by a curse. If any man were to touch her, she would transform into a monstrous creature. The princess assured him that she is not malevolent and does not cause harm to anyone unless she is attacked first, ensuring that no one suffers because of her existence. She resides in solitude within the mountains, yet humans do not permit her to live peacefully even there. Subsequently, we observed that the scientist had unlawfully taken a farmer's cat. They earnestly pleaded that this particular cat does not cause harm to anyone. On the contrary, it is quite beneficial. In fact, during the nighttime, this cat would emit a gentle light, illuminating its surroundings. Yet the scientist refused to heed the farmer's words. He proceeded to place the cat under his machine. This machine is designed to extract magical powers from any object, and in doing so, it extracted the cat's magical power and subsequently transformed the cat into a chemical through the use of magic, which the scientist then stored securely in his vault. At this point, the scientist had already amassed a considerable number of all the chemicals had already been collected. There, the princess and Finist started to fall in love with each other. Baba Yaga and Undine began to take both of them captive to the scientist. When they reached the scientist's palace, they stood at a distance and watched the scientist. They saw that the scientist had extracted all the magic from a magical bird and put the resulting chemical into his robots. This meant that these robots were not powered by science but rather by magic. He was extracting all these chemicals from everything. Extracting from the things that happened. After this, Baba Yaga, very angry, confronted him. She said, "You are a liar. These robots are not an invention but puppets powered by magic, which means your age has also been extended by magic. The magic that the scientist obtained by killing innocent animals." Hearing this, the scientist became angry and said, "Whoever learns my truth does not survive." After this, Baba Yaga and Andy, frightened, began to run away. Baba Yaga also done. Because she came to the realization that this particular scientist would repeat the same actions with this princess. The princess elaborated that she is familiar with the scientist and he has been pursuing her for an extended period. The scientist had also made his way there. He assembled all his robots to ensure that none of them could flee and then commenced extracting the magic from the princess using his machine. Finist attempted to rescue her, but he was restrained. He couldn't rescue her, but he grasped the princess's hand so that she would transform into a monstrous creature. As soon as she transformed into a monster, the princess broke her chains and escaped from there. Taking the opportunity, Baba Yaga and Finist also managed to escape. However, the scientist's men started chasing them. Baba Yaga used her magic to evade them. She threw watermelon seeds at them, which suddenly turned into watermelons. The scientist additionally unveiled his enormous robot. He was determined not to allow Finist and Baba Yaga to escape under any circumstances as they were aware of his secrets. And he attempted to explain to the scientist that they possessed an abundance of magical chemicals, yet the scientist refused to concur. When the gigantic turtle robot emerged, the entire palace crumbled. The scientist was now situated inside this robot, pursuing Finist and Yaga alongside his aunt. He commenced launching cannonballs at both of them. Raga was instructed to divert its attention while I attempt to ascend and overturn it, because once this enormous turtle is flipped, it will not be able to right itself. As soon as the robot appeared in front of Yaga, the apparatus connected to it began extracting the magic from within Yaga, which caused her to appear extremely aged. Observing this, Finist felt deeply sympathetic for her. Nevertheless, she continued to distract the scientist in the meantime. Finist climbed on top of the turtle. When the scientist saw this, he spread the turtle's arms to try and throw Finist off. Finist didn't fall, but his glasses did, and now he couldn't see. As soon as Baba Yaga saw this, she started helping Finist, telling him how to fight and where to go. Meanwhile, the princess, who had turned into a monster, arrived there. Seeing her, the scientist got scared. Meanwhile, Finist tied a chain around the turtle's neck and began to flip it over, causing the magical chemical inside the turtle to start spilling out. The magic chemical started to spill. The scientist attempted to escape using his enchanted wings, but unfortunately they failed to function properly, causing him to plunge into the mystical chemical and meet his demise. Meanwhile, Finist was utterly exhausted and eventually fainted. The princess noticed him lying there and began to cry, fearing that something terrible might have happened to him. She had genuinely fallen deeply in love with Finist. As soon as the princess's tears gently fell into Finist's eyes, he unexpectedly regained consciousness. Along with that, his vision was restored as well. Finist then expressed his heartfelt love to her. He promised to always stay with the princess. However, the princess said that due to her curse, she couldn't stay with him. Finist was saddened and returned to the village with his other companions. Yet, he was still lost in the memories of the princess. When Baba Agas was searching for a way to become young again, she also found a way to break the princess's curse. She happily went to Finist and shared this good news with him. She explained that the wine was given to the princess deliberately. It wasn't entirely her fault. It's not entirely her fault, and now their next task will be to break the princess's curse, but that might be shown in the next part of the movie, which hasn't been released yet. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel.